When Kevin Hart appeared on Complex's 360 with Speedy in November 2025 and sidestepped questions about whether he's a billionaire, he wasn't just being coy. This ongoing cat-and-mouse interaction suggests Hart has made every effort to evade and respond indirectly to inquiries about his billionaire status. And he's not alone. The ultra-wealthy have turned question dodging into an art form, because the moment they get specific about their lifestyle, the numbers stop adding up. But there's a deeper reason Hart's billionaire status remains so carefully guarded. It's the same reason why Elon Musk receives no traditional salary from Tesla, but has performance-based compensation packages. Why Jeff Bezos has maintained a low annual salary of $81,840 and previously received child tax credits in 2011. And why Warren Buffett only gets $100,000 a year in salary and bonus combined. When you're claiming to be worth billions while taking home what amounts to a middle-class paycheck, the math doesn't just look suspicious. It becomes impossible to explain. Think about it. If you're truly earning $80,000 a year, like Bezos officially claims, how exactly do you afford a $500 million yacht? Or multiple private jets? Or properties worth hundreds of millions? Billionaires' wealth reached a record high of $18.3 trillion in 2025. Yet these same individuals consistently report salaries that wouldn't cover the insurance on their assets, let alone purchase them. The moment any billionaire gets specific about their actual income sources, they'd have to explain how the richest 400 households in the US pay an effective tax rate of 24%, while the rest of us pay 30%. They'd have to detail the intricate web of appreciating stock, which is not taxed until sold, and borrowing against their assets rather than selling them. Most damaging of all, they'd have to acknowledge that the wealthiest can, perfectly legally, pay income taxes that are only a tiny fraction of the hundreds of millions, if not billions, their fortunes grow each year. This is why the deflection isn't just about privacy, it's about survival of their public image. The moment they admit their lifestyle costs exceed their stated income by factors of thousands, they're essentially confessing to a tax avoidance system so sophisticated it makes regular tax evasion look like pocket change. But here's where the evasion becomes most transparent, when questions turn to their routine luxury expenses. Private jets alone cost $25 million to over $500 million up front, with ultra-long-range models starting around $70 million before personalization. Full ownership ties up $70 to $80 million up front, plus $3 to $5 million in annual operating costs. When someone asks, how much does it cost to keep that jet running? Or, what's your monthly staff budget? The ultra-wealthy suddenly develop selective hearing. The numbers explain why. A full household team costs $450,000 to $2.1 million per year, depending on scale, privacy needs, and travel frequency. Recent job postings show a head of personal assistants earning up to $280,000, nannies topping $150,000, and directors of residences earning $200,000 to $250,000 annually. That's just 3 employees. Most billionaire estates require dozens more. The median American household earns $70,000 annually. A single billionaire's nanny often makes double that. Their private jet burns through fuel costs of $1,500 to $4,000 per hour, meaning a cross-country flight costs more than most people's annual salary. When these expenses are broken down honestly, they reveal that maintaining a billionaire lifestyle requires spending that exceeds the lifetime earnings of entire families every single month. When questions turn to how billionaires actually pass down their wealth, the deflection reaches masterpiece levels. The federal estate tax exemption permanently increased to $15 million per individual in 2026, meaning married couples can transfer up to $30 million tax-free. But billionaires aren't just transferring $30 million, they're moving billions. By using specialized trusts and gift structures, ultra-wealthy families avoid at least $200 million in estate and gift taxes per family, sometimes much more. The most revealing part isn't the tax savings, it's the mathematical impossibility of their stated wealth sources funding these transfers. The tax code wipes out any tax liability for capital gains by stepping up, the baseline value of assets at death, enabling wealthy families' heirs to altogether avoid taxes on increased value of stocks, real estate, and valuable artwork. A single family using these structures can pass $500 million to the next generation without triggering estate tax, while the same transfer would cost a middle-class family roughly 40% in taxes if it were somehow possible at that scale. When billionaires deflect inheritance questions with vague references to providing for the next generation or family legacy, they're hiding a system where rich people can pass unlimited investment gains to their descendants without paying a dollar in income tax. The moment they get specific about how their children will inherit billions, while their stated income sources couldn't possibly have generated that wealth, the entire facade collapses. That's why the deflection isn't just evasion. It's essential to maintaining the illusion that their fortunes were earned rather than systematically sheltered. When questions turn to charitable giving, the deflection reaches masterpiece levels. Starting in 2026, a new savings cap effectively reduces the maximum tax value of a donation from 37% to approximately 35%. Yet billionaires rush to front-load their giving in 2025 to avoid these restrictions. The math is transparent. An entrepreneur with $10 million in AGI after a business sale who donates $1 million receives a $370,000 tax reduction in 2025. Starting in 2026, that same donation yields only $320,000 in deductions, a $50,000 difference that explains the sudden urgency to give before the deadline. Foundations function as the ultimate deflection tool. A billionaire can fund a foundation, claim an immediate tax deduction, and decide years later how to distribute the money, if at all. The Gates Foundation has distributed roughly $6 billion annually, while sitting on an endowment exceeding $60 billion, allowing its founders to claim tax benefits on wealth they maintain complete control over. When pressed about charitable impact versus tax savings, billionaires default to vague language about giving back, while avoiding any breakdown of actual dollars spent versus tax liability eliminated. The mathematical reality is why specificity becomes dangerous. Charitable giving vehicles like donor-advised funds function as wealth preservation tools disguised as philanthropy. A billionaire can donate appreciated stock to a foundation, eliminate capital gains tax, claim a massive charitable deduction, and maintain control over the assets indefinitely. Their foundations often distribute less than 5% annually, while the remaining 95% compounds tax-free. A strategy that allows them to claim philanthropic status while their wealth continues accumulating untouched. The moment they detail how much they're actually saving in taxes versus spending on charitable work, the entire narrative collapses. When billionaires are forced into courtrooms and legal proceedings where vague deflection isn't an option, the system finally breaks down. Elon Musk's $150 billion lawsuit against OpenAI revealed specific details that would normally stay buried, including roughly $38 million in initial funding he provided to the company. Justin Sun's recent lawsuit against Trump's cryptocurrency venture exposed his $45 million investment and allegations that the company secretly embedded blacklisting functions to freeze his tokens and threaten to burn his holdings. These legal disclosures reveal what happens when billionaires can't control the narrative. In high-profile divorce proceedings, billionaire property tycoons have been sentenced to imprisonment for persistently refusing to honestly disclose financial details. Complex portfolios often include offshore structures, layered LLCs, or digital assets that require forensic accounting to uncover, forcing courts to demand the specific numbers that billionaires spend their entire public lives avoiding. The mathematical impossibility becomes undeniable when forced disclosures happen. A billionaire claiming minimal income suddenly has to explain specific investments worth hundreds of millions, private jets purchased with cash, or cryptocurrency holdings like those valued at billions, with liquidity discounts applied because controlling shareholders can't liquidate without collapsing their own asset values. The moment the courtroom demands receipts instead of tolerating deflection, it's game over. And that's exactly why the ultra-wealthy have turned question dodging into an art form that their survival depends on. Ultimately, the billionaire facade is not just a personal choice, but a necessary shield designed to protect a financial ecosystem that cannot survive public scrutiny. By keeping the conversation vague and avoiding the hard numbers of their true wealth, they prevent the realization that their influence is built less on merit and more on the calculated manipulation of systemic loopholes. The moment their lifestyle is placed side by side with their tax returns, the illusion of self-made success vanishes, revealing a stark reality of protected privilege. They understand that transparency is the enemy of their status, which is why silence remains their most powerful asset. Subscribe for more breakdowns of how extreme wealth really works and the psychology behind it.